Mr Coveney, the Irish Deputy Prime Minister, said Dublin, Brussels and London are working on a series of clarifications in a bid to help Attorney General Geoffrey Cox reserve his legal advice that the backstop could endure indefinitely. Mr Coveney's intervention came ahead of a meeting between Mr Cox, Brexit Secretary Stephen Barclay and Michel Barnier, the EU's chief negotiator, in Brussels tonight. According to Brussels sources, the EU is hopeful of concluding the negotiations this week ahead of the next meaningful vote, which is expected to take place on March 12. Mr Coveney said, "We want to ensure that the backstop is a temporary arrangement. We have been building on documents published in December and building on timelines. We're in the space of trying to provide clarity that temporary means temporary. It's too early to be optimistic. My understanding is the negotiations have been difficult." Arriving in Brussels, Mr Cox cut a confident figure but refused to give away the sensitive nature of his negotiations with Brussels. When asked if he has hope of a compromise, the Attorney General said, "I'm sure there's always hope." Brexit news. Simon Coveney says Ireland wants backstop to be temporary. Image Getty. Reasonable conversations going on, but you're not going to expect me to comment. These are very sensitive discussions during the negotiations, which will take place over dinner at the European Commission's Berlaymont headquarters. Mr Barclay will challenge Brussels to ring-fence citizens' rights in the event of no deal. Ahead of his trip to the Belgian capital, the Brexit secretary penned a letter outlining Parliament's decision to support an amendment tabled by Alberto Costa, which called for bilateral agreement to protect the rights of EU citizens in the UK and British nationals in the rest of the EU in the event of no deal. Mr Barclay's letter reads, "The government's position remains that the withdrawal agreement provides the best way of providing confidence to citizens. Nonetheless, given our shared commitment to protecting the rights of citizens in all scenarios, I would welcome your views on the proposal put forward by our Parliament to ring-fence citizens' rights, and I propose that we discuss this issue in more detail when we meet." Mr Barclay also promised to raise the issue with Guy Verhofstadt, the EU Parliament's Brexit coordinator.